Get back. Good. Get back. Good boy. Back. Good. Get back. Good boy. Good boys. Good boys. Good boys. Let's go. Come on. Get back. Good boy. Get back. Good boy. Let's go. Good boy. Back. Get back. Get back. Good. Get back. Get back. Good boy. Get back. Good boy. Back. Get back. Good boy. Get back. Good boy. Good boy. Get back. Good. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Let's go. Get back. Get back. Good. Back. Good boy. Get back. Let's go. Good. Get back. 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 Good. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah. Okay, let's talk leashes. I've had a lot of requests in the comments of our first video, which I'll post here. If you missed that, we taught the leave it. In this video, everybody wanted to know about leash training. So the first thing that I did was put a training collar on him, which in my case, I like the pinch collar. And I talked some more about this when we bought them at the store, which I'll show you at the end of the video. And I showed you a few different collars in that aspect. The thing that I like the most about pinch collars is they cause the least amount of damage and they're the most effective. So when you first saw us walking, he was on a flat collar and he pulled and he's all over the place. And when you give a correction on the flat collar, it puts a lot of pressure on the trachea and can actually cause damage. Over the span of the dog's life, it can cause quite a bit of damage to the trachea. So that's why I prefer to start out with a pinch collar, and it works really well with large dogs and smaller dogs. Really with a dog that's much smaller than this, unless you're looking at a Jack Russell or some of those smaller hunting breeds, you probably wouldn't want to use this type of collar. And there's some other things that I can show you if you have a much smaller breed than a Corgi. So comment below if you do, and if I have enough interest, then we'll work on something. I'll try to find a small dog to show you guys on that. But what I'm doing, if you notice, once I put the collar on him, of course you probably saw him shaking. He loves walking this road, so he gets very, very excited. He's not shaking out of fear, he's shaking out of actual excitement, because he just can't contain himself. He's a very, very high energy dog, and that's one of the ways that they show you. There was no fear in him. He's not afraid of this collar. So once I put the collar on, I don't do a lot of jerking. If you noticed, I basically had my hand in one position and my tugs were very light. He does not have a super high pain tolerance, so it takes very little with him to get a correction. And what I'm looking for him to do is I want him to watch me. I don't really care at this point where he's at when you first take him out. So your first run, you're just wanting him to pay attention that you're at the end of the leash, and you want to keep your leash very slack. You don't want a super tight leash. When you have a super tight leash, it's basically an umbilical cord from you to the animal, and they never have to turn around and look at you because they know exactly where you are. You're at the end of that umbilical cord. So you want to make sure that your leash is loose and that the dog has to turn around and look at you to see what you're doing. So when I started doing the U-turns and the about faces, that's how I'm actually correcting the dog to get in the correct space. I want his front shoulder aligned with my leg. And if he's moving ahead of me, then I'll do a bunch of left turns, and my command for that is get back, and I'll do a light pop backwards away from him. So I'll pop the leash like this, and it will cause him to back up. But it's with this dog, it's very, very short, and as you can see, just that light correction, and he's gonna move back. So that, and I will give the command, get back. And the reason why I actually give a command for this is when the dog is off leash, and say I'm carrying a bunch of groceries in my hand and he's heeling along beside me and he really can't see me because I have 2 big grocery bags in my arms or a box or something like that, then I can say get back, and the dog knows that I'm going to cut in front of him to go a different direction, and he will slow down, basically take a step behind me and allow me to cross in front of him so that I don't trip over him. And this is really important with your smaller dogs because, as you know, we have a tendency to step on our smaller dogs. Our bigger dogs, they can see a little bit better, but it's something that has come in very handy for me. And when I turn to the right, I use the command let's go, and I do it in a higher pitched voice because I'm wanting the dog to speed up and kind of run around my body as we go. And if I'm giving a correction for that, it's just a slight pop forward. Let's go. Let's go. And that encourages the dog to speed up around you. The biggest thing with these collars is you do not give a hard correction. You do not have to. That's really, really important because we're not wanting to fear motivate our dog. We're wanting to just encourage them to move in the direction that we want them to. Eventually we will come off of this collar. Once they understand all of the heeling and all of that, we'll be able to take the pinch collar off and move back to our flat collar or whatever, you know, harness or whatever of those things that we would actually want to use. This is a training collar. So as you saw, he is a big puller. He likes to pull the leash, he likes to run ahead, he likes to sniff everything and pee on everything. But he understands this collar. He's been on it a couple of times in his life. My small grandson would walk him in town when we would go for our daily walks, and he was 4 years old at the time, and he could not hold Justin back, and so the pinch collar went on him. And so he's not had any real formal training in heeling. That's all he's had, is just so that he didn't pull the grandson. It worked really, really well. So this is probably his very, very first real lesson in heeling and staying where I want him to stay. And if you noticed, as we were doing our about turns, one, you don't need a huge area to train in, but as we started doing our U-turns and our about turns, he started really looking at me like this. And that's what you're looking for. You want your dog to watch you. If he's watching you, you can give him a leave it if you need to, and you can also keep him right where you want him to be. So let's watch that again. All right, let's go. Get back, get back, get back. Good boy. Always make sure you praise right after you've done your turn. Let's go. Good boy. Yeah. Get back, get back, get back, get back, get back. Good boy. You're a good boy. Oh, let's go. Good boy. Get back, get back. Let's go. As soon as he moves ahead, get back, get back. Good boy. Right there. Good boy. Good job. Good job. So as soon as he moves ahead of me, I'm going to do a left turn or a U-turn. We only have space for a U-turn, but you could just do a left turn if you had a really big field that you were working in. And when he's in his correct space, I can do a let's go and get him to speed around me. That's basically your first, if your dog's been on leash before and he understands the actual what the leash and where he needs to be, that's where you're gonna start out. If your dog has not been on leash before, you are gonna only hold your leash here and you're just gonna walk and you're gonna let him correct himself. So when he gets ahead of you, he'll automatically hit the end of that leash and he'll give himself a little pop. When he looks back at, whoa, what just happened? You want to praise him. Good boy, because what we want him to do is we want him to look at us. That's what we are looking for. We're not looking for this dog to actually heel and be in the correct position, right? We're just wanting him to pay attention to us so he knows where we're going. If your dog gets out to the end of the leash and never turns around and looks at you, turn around and start walking the other direction. Don't actually tell him what you're going to do, because that's going to say, whoa, she just can automatically leave at any moment and I need to pay attention to her, or him if you're a guy. So that's going to be your first leash lesson. Leash lesson. Say that 5 times really fast. That's hard. Next week, we're going to talk about the recall. Everybody's been asking about how to teach a dog to come when they're called. And so that's what we're going to work on, because both of mine desperately need to learn that, because we have so many wild animals in this area that they want to take off for a hunt and they don't want to listen to mom. So make sure you come back, subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure you leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to learn, what you'd like to see me teach the dogs, and we'll get on that. So thanks so much. Bye. Good boy. Let's go. Yes. Good dog. You're so smart. Good dog. Yeah, good boy. You're a good boy. Who's a good boy? You're a good boy. You are such a good boy.